And you came out to the Smokies and stayed in one of my cabins, and we did Guy Fieri and Gatlinburg, and we did all the
Yeah.
things. We did Caves Cove. That was fun.
Yeah, and I got really excited about short-term rentals, and I got really excited about the Smokies, and I was like I'm in it. I'm here for it. And then
What
I
happened? Why didn't we hit the timeline? So I think I was telling you, well, I think you had some different restructuring of funds,
yes.
but something happened between the excitement at early September until when did you start getting serious? Well, I think you looked at different investing vehicles.
Yeah, so here's what happened. I was really gung-ho about this opportunity, and I hooked up with you, and obviously you're such an expert in the area, and but I still was kind of like to myself saying, like, am I really going to do this? Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, short-term rentals, like, I've heard a lot of horror stories. I live in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains, where a lot of people have like invested in, a condo in Breckenridge or in Winter Park, and it like hasn't gone well. And like this whole concept of self-management really freaked me out. And I don't think I was ready then yet to really embrace the whole passive investing thing, because I think I felt like I needed a little bit more control or knowledge. Like, I'm going to do this. So like, I got to really understand the ins and outs of it. And oh my God, and also I was learning. So I bought a ticket to a conference, not really even knowing. I just knew it was in the short-term rental space, but it ended up being a property management conference in Miami in January, which I went to, and I learned so much, and I'm so grateful that I did. And also kind of freaked me out about this space, because it turned out it wasn't targeted to investors, it was targeted to property managers. And they were talking about the immense opportunity in the short-term rental space around property management. It's actually really exciting. But I started to get freaked out because I thought, well, I don't really want to do property management.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, like, I'm going to be really far away. And I got really kind of scared about now investing in Tennessee in a short-term place. So I started looking in Colorado, and actually the short-term play in Colorado isn't as great. It turns out it's a better of a long-term play. So I started investigating that, and I got approved for a loan here. And I was looking at family units, like a quadplex or something. But I had also already bought a ticket to the short-term real estate wealth conference that was in at the end of March in Nashville. So I knew I was going to be going again to another STR conference. And I've been working with a mentor here in Colorado that specializes in long-term investment. And I was getting close to, like, being ready to find a property and start the offer process right when I went to this wealth conference in Nashville. And somebody there said something to me that really flipped the whole script back to the original plan, which was, well, so first of all, let me just say, like, this industry is so welcoming, which is also really cool. Like, for people who don't know what they're doing, I would definitely encourage like going to a conference and meeting more people, because it's pretty remarkable how collaborative this industry is. Actually, I'm learning. But somebody said, like, well, do you want to be like rich on paper, or do you actually want to have money coming into your bank account right now? And I was like, yeah, the second thing, right? So I kind of just, everybody right now too is like, everybody who's not in the industry. So like, if you're a person who's scared to do this and you're talking about it, you're talking about it with people who are really rooted in like a conventional way of thinking, you're going to get a lot of negative advice. Like, the interest rates are so high, now's not the right time. But I really like believe that the sooner you can do it, the better. And as long as your like deal pens, like, who cares what the interest rates are? Like, you'll figure that out. And I just kind of, once I got the bug at this other conference, it was just like, let's go. Like, what can I do? Where's the money at? Like, where can I find some? And I started really like not letting myself get hung up on, you know, minor details, like I'm going to take a huge hit out of my retirement if I cash out my IRA, or like, you know, you don't know what you're doing. That minor detail didn't, like, all of a sudden I just felt this liberation and freedom, to just be like, F it. I believe in this. I have a mentor. I have a team. I had, you know, you had hooked me up with a really awesome lender who was super smart and talking things that made sense to me. And like, it just kind of ended up being a dumb move to not make a move, is sort of what happened. And so every step of the way for me, I think, was just having an expert there that gave me information and the space to like take a step back. Right. So, that's kind of how I got to this point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and the only thing I'm thinking is there's still a gap in the timeline.
Oh,
because we were trying to get you closed by the end of November. But then, okay, like that conference, the one in Miami, was in January.
yeah.
So I'm like, there's still something like maybe a fear of where the money was going to come from. Or you kind of said you felt like you weren't going to be able to like control it because it was out of state. And
yeah. And, you know, like personally, like on a personal front, I was going, you know, through sort of like this bigger question of like, what's my strategy? That was honestly, like, if there's anything that stuck to me out of all the conferences, and any, you know, people are always like curious, I think, as investors, like, what's the right market? What should I do? Like, you know, tell me where, like, you tell me, you're the expert. But like, I think what you really don't understand is like, the opportunity is everywhere. It's just a matter of what are you trying to accomplish? Like, I can't tell you what the opportunity for you is, right? Because I don't know what you're trying to do. And as long as, you know, so I went through this like little bit of a crisis of what am I trying to do? Like long-term, short-term. I mean, ultimately I'm trying to build wealth, but like they're different vehicles. They're going to be on different timelines. And I had to really get straight with myself about what was important. And that actually took me a couple weeks. And I did a lot of like dumb stuff around it, like just wallowing in it. And then I also did some constructive stuff where I like tried to write my values down and my goals down and like really be intentional around it. And that just took a little bit of time. And I know like you and I had some conversations, and I'm sure I worried a lot about that. Like, how am I occurring to everybody? I must seem so fickle because I'm changing my mind all the time. Right. And it's like, this is a big deal. Like, especially like if this is your first investment property, like, you know, it feels like it could be changing the course of your life. I mean, I cashed out my 401k, like, or my IRA, whatever the heck that dumb thing is called. Who cares?
A lot of money
anymore. I just torched it. So, yeah, it's a lot of money. It's not just a lot of money. This is what I feel like people in my life don't really understand. But like, if you're going through it, it's not just a lot of money. It represents your whole life of working. Like, I've been building that money up since I was 22. I've been hustling and busting my butt. And hey, P.S., I'm a woman too. So like, to get to $500,000 in an IRA and then to just be like, boom, I'm going to pull that out and I'm going to bet on myself. It's liberating, but there's like, you know, I mean, obviously there's a lot of pressure there. It's only just everything you've worked for your whole entire life.
$500,000.
Yeah. And man, you don't walk away with $500,000 too. Such a racket.
Right. Well, and I think the biggest thing is it goes against that, like you said earlier, the conventional wisdom that we were given from our mothers and fathers and employers and the government. And, you know, it seems really, what's the word? Like you could be throwing caution to the wind by going and buying a property.
Yeah.
You're gonna hope it's gonna rent that doesn't have leases.
Yes, exactly. And it is, you know, like anybody who is looking on the outside could easily say of anybody who's taken a risk, like, oh, you're so fearless, right? And it's like, you have so much courage and all that stuff. And it's like, trust me, there's no absence of fear.
Right. Even with me still.
Yeah, exactly. But like, also, hey, I feel really alive right now. I'll tell you that much. So, and I have faith, right? Like, you know, it's a different time now. I don't know, all of it, my time in my life, the time in the world. I mean, like, you know, what's going to happen? I just know that for me in my particular journey, like this investment is kind of a no-brainer. And, you know, here's the other thing. It's like, I think people are also really scared about the horror stories that when the real estate bubble burst, and it's like, there's this, I think, fear that you could lose everything in a bad real estate deal. But really, like that's happened. But I feel like the chances of that happening, like you have a lot of time between when things start to go bad and you lose everything, that I feel like you could make pivots and changes and like move forward and be okay. And like, that takes a lot of pressure off too. But we think about it, it's like either you're going to be okay or you're going to be this massive failure and lose everything. And I feel like the reality is somewhere not in the middle, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And if you're getting advice from someone who has lost something.
Right. Yeah. Who are you getting your advice from? That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you feel now? Because now we're in it. We're under contract. I mean, you jumped off the ledge.
Okay, well, so this, I don't know, this is just me personality maybe, but I am that person who's like, okay, I saw it, I made the decision, now like, let's just take action. And I know a lot of people can kind of get caught up in that. What helped me a lot was basically to like not get emotionally engaged in it. It was like, I knew what the parameters we were looking for when the deal came up. It just was like, cool. I had all my ducks in a row, kind of one of the things that you say, right? Like, to me, it was like, get ready, because everything about this business is jumping on an opportunity when it pops up. There's not a lot of time to waste. We're talking about days, and in some cases, maybe even hours, right? Like when you really get in the game. And so it was just kind of like, okay, I'm not going to stress. I'm just going to go through this checklist and I'm going to get my ducks in a row. And then they were in a row, and it just kind of lined up to where this property showed up. And I just was kind of like, maybe this is my property, maybe not. And I had a team of people who sweat the details for me, and really worked with me. The only thing I was concerned about is how tight is the margin? Like, is this workable? Does the dollars make sense? Am I trying to push it too much, right? Like, what do I think is going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months? Like, because this isn't a time when you're going to be making money hand over fist, but like, I really want to get in, and I want to get in on a good deal. That's my goal right now. So it wasn't to make a bunch of cash flow in the first year. I mean, that's my plan in the long term. But so I was really like, all I had to do was be clear on what I wanted, my why and what I'm trying to achieve, and get my ducks in a row. And then I just literally like handed it over to this awesome team that you're helping me build. So that made it really easy. And like, if that deal would have fallen through, and it still might, who knows, right? We're still going through it, right? I just kind of feel like that's cool. Like, I learned a lot. Like, I'll be ready for the next one when it comes around, and that means that that's my property. And so it's kind of nice to be like, it's different. It's a different experience too than like when you're buying a property for yourself. That's so stressful because you have so much emotion because you're going to be living there. This is kind of cool because you're like, I'm like, well, I might never even go to this place. If we do it right, I'll never have a chance to go there. I didn't buy
exactly.
that, right?
Totally.
So that mindset is really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the ducks in a row. I mean, that was like figuring out where that money was going to come from and making sure it was available. So taking it out of your IRA or whatever.
Right.
And then, you know, talking with me and the team, and then lenders. You talk to a few lenders and picking a lender that's going to work best with you.
Right.
You know, and you're talking to other resources about, you know, business entity structure and all that, which, you know,
yes,
is a separate thing, but
yes. And I mean, I'm fortunate enough also to be working with you, who is mentoring me on the investing side, has also been my real estate agent, which has been awesome. And I'm going to, this is the best part, the part that like brought me full circle is, you know, give my cabin over to Josh's Cabins, your property management company. And I literally like don't have to do anything except collect a check eventually. So and the coolest other part about it is I get to flex into it however much I want to learn about it. So it's been an awesome, it's almost like a turnkey way to get into investing as a first, you know, as a first time investor, especially from far away. So that I'm not constrained to a market that's proximal to me, that's maybe not optimal. It's pretty amazing, actually. So yeah, I feel really excited. I think that was the original question. Ask me, how do I feel now? I feel like, well, I'm like, where, let me go shake out the cushions of the couch and see if I can find some more money so we can buy another one.
I know my next question was, what do you want now? More cabins, obviously.
Another cabin, right? Exactly. More.
I was like, well, when we were offering on that cabin, it was kind of cool because it was like the weekend I was supposed to be with you at your house. So it was just like this property popped up on the market. All the boxes were checked for the things we were looking for. And I said, this could be your cabin. If it hasn't gone pending yet, let me check it out. You know, it's still available for one reason or the other. People are sleeping on it because they're worried about interest rates. And it just, lo and behold, like we negotiated you into the contract. So now you're under contract, you're in escrow.
Yeah.
Pressure. It's coming.
And also, can I just say, I mean, not to like toot my own horn or whatever, but like November was my target. I made it in April. I'll still call that as a win. I mean, 8 months from like when I was like, F this, I want to do something, to like I'm under contract.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to take forever like that. I think that's another thing, like, you know, and the other thing I will say, but the whole thing about the ducks in a row is it isn't just like, oh, like get your checklist and, you know, it's like a cliche you can kind of forget about, but what you're really doing is you're aligning your intention with action, and you're creating an environment for these opportunities to present themselves to you. If you don't have your ducks in a row, you don't even have a chance to see opportunities. And that gives you a foundation of like a positive outlook on whatever circumstances are going on in the market, because that's always going to be happening. And like I said, there's so many people who are scared, and they're going to give you all these reasons why they're not doing it. And you can easily, you know, be like, oh God, maybe I shouldn't, like, now's not a really good time.
I like what you said. You made a comment like, what else am I going to do with the money? I already withdrew it.
Yeah, because you were asking me like, are you sure? Like, this is it. Like,
Could have bought a Ferrari. I mean,
I'm like, I mean, might as well send in my checking account. Like if we don't put it in this house, like over the next year, I'm going to spend that money little by little, right? On dumb
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I
and I think
do not
too,
have that
like,
level of self-control.
you could have bought a Ferrari, or worse yet, is it worse? Or, I'm not sure. Ferrari, inflation would just eat that money. Inflation was 6% last year. So if you withdrew it and you have it in a 0%
Oh
interest
yeah.
bearing checking account, it's just getting smaller and smaller and smaller versus you're getting it into this cabin, which we're going to see appreciate. We are still going to see appreciation this year in that market in the Smoky Mountains. It's going to be low, but we will still see appreciation. And so it's like, jump on the train. The train is moving.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously different markets perform differently when it comes to appreciation. I think in general though, and you are the expert, so you can tell me if I'm off base, but like if you're planning on holding on to a property for a long amount of time, like I don't think you really need to worry too much just like about appreciation. Now, are you trying to like bank all of your like, you know, outcome on appreciation? Like maybe that's a little risky, right? Like, because you're not going to know and it's going to be timing, right? And because like I feel like everything we're doing is to hedge against timing, right? Like to make timing less relevant because sometimes you can't control it. You know, and so it's like, how do you approach the circumstances asking yourself, where's the opportunity? Instead of there's all these reasons why I shouldn't take action. There's always going to be reasons not to take action, and there's always going to be opportunity.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
How do you want to live what do you do with your life, bro? How do you want to live your life? I don't know.
Well, and then, you know, I mean, I think it's funny because if we really talk about like the beginning of my short-term rental investing journey and the beginning of yours is the same. I robbed retirement. So did you. I looked at long-term rentals. So did you. And the thing is, to get into a long-term rental with that same bucket of money, the margins are so slim. They're like $100 to $250 per month per door. So if you're buying a single family home, you may be taking away just a few $100s, and you're just hoping to have that slow burn with low, you know, time investment. Whereas with short-term rentals, the margins are higher. I mean, so is the risk because there's no lease agreements. But then, you know, you've got that cash flow factor, you know, making sure that you underwrite the specific deal with the specific numbers and that you're not over or underestimating things. There's a heck of a lot more value in what did we end up, you know, let's say your budget's in the 850 range, you know, 850 grand in multifamily or long-term rental compared to short-term rental. There's such a disparity there with like margins.
Yeah. And I think another reality of long-term rentals that's like kind of hidden is in addition to narrow margin, like you have a long-term tenant there. So like you have a lot less flexibility on maintenance stuff. And I think people don't understand. That's really what scared me a lot about the long-term play, especially with a multi-unit, right? Mm-hmm. Because, well, now all of a sudden you're dealing with more tenants on a longer term basis, which could run itself or could be more overhead, right? And like if the hot water heater goes out, like you got to fix it right now because people are living there. In a short-term rental, like if the hot water heater goes out, like maybe you have a buffer and like you can, like, I don't know, like I'm not saying it makes sense, but you're not beholden to people being there. You have some ability to like deal with that, and maybe that gives you the flexibility on how it impacts your operating expenses. And with such a narrow margin, it just feels really scary. Like something like a hot water heater might take you out.
Yeah.
You know, and also you're responsible for people's lives, really. Like they're living, their home is inside your property. That's a totally different vibe than, oh, you spent the weekend at my vacation rental.
Right.
So just stuff you don't see in the numbers when you like look at breakdowns too to consider in terms of like, what is my life going to be like around this stuff?
Mhm.
And then like, there's so much stuff I didn't have to worry about. Like, you know, you started to say like our journeys started out the same.
Mhm.
Like you burned your 401k, you were in a W-2 job that you wanted to quit. I want to quit my job in the next 3 years, right? And but you built up this whole business. And we even talked about that. Like, Sonia, is that something you want to do? And then I realized, like, no, I don't want to do that because you already did that.
Don't copy me.
It over to you, right? Like, I don't need to
There's
do
my-
it. And that's the beautiful thing for me, because again, I just wanted to collect the check and own the place. I didn't want to do the real estate thing and the agent thing and the property management thing. And it's truly, couldn't be more passive at this point.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk in the future now. So let's say, well, we know this is going to go awesome, obviously. Because we did the underwriting and it's great, but
yeah.
Let's say 3 years from now and you're getting ready to quit your job and you have a nice portfolio. Let's say you've got 6, 7 properties in there, which is totally doable. I did 11, 12 in 3 years. So what does your life look like, Sonia? What do you want after W-2 land and you've got this passive income stream? What are you doing?
Yeah,
How are you
I
feeling?
mean, I honestly, I don't know. I mean, right now from where I'm sitting, like I'm not sure what the investment opportunity is going to look like. You know, the Smokies are really exciting and compelling to me from an investment perspective. I don't know if I'll also want to expand my portfolio at that point once I've generated some cash with some long-term stuff. That might be an area I've thought a little bit about development in some shape or fashion. So I don't really know, actually. But it's going to look like me being on my own time, you know, I guess wheeling and dealing, like whatever the things I'm interested in, and just like that freedom to do the things that I'm interested in, as opposed to this like grind.
Yeah.
You know, it's still going to be work. I mean, right? Anybody who cracks the code for like actual enough passive income with no work to like quit your job, let me know. But like, we're not saying quit working. We're just saying quit working the W-2 job.
Yeah. Do something you're passionate about.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Check back.
Playing with my kids.
Yeah.
Going on vacation.
Yeah, like I don't know, beach has to be in the mix somewhere there. I got to get back to the beach.
Yeah.
Smoky Mountains are nice, Rocky Mountains are nice, but beach is my bag. So I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm excited.
What are you going to be doing? Because I might be riding your coat.
Well, and I mean, back to your conversation about like when I quit my job, it was like I could live off the passive income from my cabins, because when I quit my job, I was in banking long time, too long. I was making triple the amount of money as my salary and bonus, like the whole comp figure. What I figured out I was like getting a month, you know, gross.
Yeah.
Was triple coming from the cabins. And I'm like, this is so funny. Why am I like, I felt like an imposter at the bank. Like, I'm like, I didn't need to be there anymore. You know, I had it covered. But then when I was really thinking about my personal strategy wasn't just to like quit my job and sit on my thumbs. Like, I'm not that type of person. I couldn't do that. So then I was like, well, what do I want? What does this look like? And I don't even know. I mean, I feel like it was people like Derek at USC and, you know, my other friends when I was in college that were like, help me do what you're doing. And then I was like, wait a minute, what if I, instead of living off of that income from the portfolio, just use that income to continue growing the portfolio, dog ear that for retirement, or, you know, maybe I pull some money from it to do something fun for myself, buy a Ferrari, whatever, back to that. But how can I have something that I'm really passionate about that's affording my lifestyle and my cost
Yeah.
of living without living off the cabin money. I'm almost like at the next level of like what it could be. And it's simply because I didn't want to just sit on my
Yeah.
laurels, whatever they say.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I get that too, right? I would like to get to the point where I have to make a decision of what I'm going to do because I don't want to sit on my laurels. That's my goal.
I'll help you.
Yeah, you are helping me. It's happening.
I mean, I'll help you go to the beach. We'll go to
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh, help me sit on my laurels.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's get to that point. I'm cool. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
so right. I want out. I want out of the grind, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, gosh, I don't know who it was, but way in my past, we were talking about as coworkers, we were spending more time together as coworkers than we were with our spouses. This was back when I was married 1,000 years ago. It's
Yeah.
like I'm spending more time with this coworker than I am with my husband. That's kind of sad. Like,
It is sad.
no
And
one would choose that.
hey, listen, I'm sure a lot of people have really cool jobs too. Like you got to work with SpaceX, right? Like I've had some cool parts of my job too. And also like most of the time it sucks. And like I'd be like, I could be cool without working with SpaceX and like just living on the beach. Like I would make that trade, just saying. So yeah, you just like, yeah. And when you look back on your career, like not all of the projects are so rewarding. It's like, what do I have to show for these hours I spent with these coworkers instead of with my family? I mean, some of them are cool and have become part of your family because you're in the trenches, right? But like, it's true. It's like, what do I even have to show for that time I spent?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you 1,000%.
Yeah, so I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful that like there's people out there like you who like figured it out and are doing it and are like willing to share what you've learned and bring along other people. Like, I mean, and connect me with other people who are also doing that. And there's definitely this spirit of wanting to bring people up. Like there's a room for everybody. It's not this like competitive thing, which I really appreciate. And, like I really do feel like everything in my story has been this way. And I think this might resonate with you, but it's like, as soon as I got clear on what I wanted and I just got activated towards taking small steps to like, just get my ducks in a row. All of a sudden, all these cool things started happening. Weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a total blast and I can't wait to get to 15 cabins with you of my own. So yeah, bring it.
Yes, totally. Yeah, I'm just thinking this conversation's getting me deep now because I'm thinking about, when I made the decision to leave my banking career, like I was a banker.
Yeah.
That was hard to like unwrap my like identity from that. And I feel like, I don't know, just like back to the conversation of spending more time with your coworkers than your spouses. Like I was putting so much effort and so much time and so much like maybe blood, but sweat and tears into like trying to climb that corporate ladder and just hitting a stop. It was like a catch-22 the higher up I got to go to that next rung. It's like someone had to die off to get there, or you had to like do some backdoor action to get some person to like, buy into who you were and if you could do the job. And it was just, there was a lot of like politics in it. And unfortunately, as a woman, it was even harder as a woman, even though in banking now it's primarily the problem was it was woman driven at those worker lower rungs, middle management rungs. And then as you got higher, it was all male dominated.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunately some older males in most cases. They were trying to bring up younger, generations into that, but until you could prove what you could do, you wouldn't move up. But it's like, how do you prove what you do unless you put in more than 8 hours a day? I'd go to everything, every conference. I would speak on behalf of the bank. I like joined every, it was a lot. I did volunteer work for the bank. It was like just a lot of like, so then, like, what's the point you hit where you're like, okay, I'm going to like start going my own way, my own passion, my own strategy, because I'm not getting the love over here. It's like, for me,
I'm laughing because you say that like you hit this ceiling, yet you left your job and you were an SVP. That's amazeballs. The point for me, I'm going to tell you, director. That's where I'm like, peace out.
I don't know the levels,
because I know everything. I don't have that level of gumption that you had to like get up the corporate ladder. And then let me ask you this. Then when you achieved it and you sat there with your SVP title, like, did that feel fulfilling? And like, were you like, yes, I made it. I'm an SVP. Like, this is the end all be all. Obviously not, because you left, right? But like, yeah, like you work for this. Like, and again, as a woman, it's even more ingrained in you if you're capable and are moving up the ladder, that you almost like you have a responsibility to keep going. That's a real thing. And like, to see a woman get up to the top, but then to see you leave because of an entrepreneurial thing that is more successful, that's such an awesome role model, right? And I'm sure too, like, obviously you have a passion about helping other women. You have this whole thing around the 1,000 women millionaires, right? Like, and I'm sure that started out as like something you just started saying, like, not like, you don't know how you're going to get to 1,000 women millionaires, right? Like, and like, but like, here we are. I mean, pretty much like, I'm almost there. Like, I just freaking I basically am going to be owning a cabin that's close to $1 million in value. Like, I'm almost there, like, net worth wise. It's pretty crazy. Like, it doesn't take that much to get you there if you just take some actions. It's doable. It's like totally doable. And
basically,
let's get to 10 million. It's like, let's get to 10 million.
Billionaire. I know, millionaire. Yeah. So common now. Boring. What else you got?
Yeah, right.
I just like felt, I don't know, I did have that storied career. It was amazing. I got to where, I hit the goals around it. So then, I started this other stuff, and then I hit the goals around it. And then I think it was like a conversation with my mother where she was like, what's your goal, Leslie? Are you trying to own 1,000 cabins? And I was like, no. She's like, how much, she's looking at it from like a money standpoint. How much more money do you need? I'm like, I'm got everything I want. So then I was like, well, why am I doing this? Like, I felt driven to come to like an impact mission. Like, I needed to like correlate some of my core values into what I was doing. And that's why I'm so driven to help women after learning only 1/3 of all investors in real estate are women, but most wealth is coming. Like, I'm like, what the hell?
I know, it's like, you can't get it as a woman in corporate America. Like, are we also going to like take it in the alternative? No. Like, yeah, right. Like, why can't, I think it is, a lot of studies around this in corporate America, and I assume this is true in investing too. Women tend to feel like if they're not 100% qualified for something, they shouldn't even try. We are like that. Like, when you think, you see the research in corporate America around promotions, or even like applying for jobs, and they show that like women are like, well, I didn't have all the qualifications, so I didn't apply. And men are like, oh, F the qualification. I had half the qualifications. I was like, F it. I applied and I got the job. And it's like, of course, you're not going to get the job you didn't apply for, right? And it's the same, I think, with investing and anything where we feel nascent and that we don't know. And, you know, if there is in any person, but I think women are socialized a little bit this way, right? Like not to try because we don't feel good enough. And it's like, F that.
Yeah. We're taking a stand, ladies.
Yeah. I mean, and also like, yeah, you don't know. Find someone who knows.
Yeah.
And then learn.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're all our worst enemy. I mean, I still battle with some of it myself. I'm my own worst enemy, like holding on to something that doesn't serve me anymore and just, you know, not getting into my core of who I am and figuring out what resonates with me. I mean, that's the biggest thing, but
yeah, that's why I really love like what you say about that, like take action every day. And it doesn't have to be a huge major decision every day. It's like little baby steps every day, you know, getting your ducks in a row. Just be ready. It's that, and that is like that's how you align everything, right? Like you get clear on what you want. And a lot of times people are like, oh my God, stuff just worked out for you. I'm sure you hear that all the time. Oh, you're so lucky. You just hit the market at the right time. You're so lucky. And like, yeah, I mean, sure, there's some elements of the things that happened that were out of your control that worked in your favor, obviously. Yeah. And some stuff that didn't. But like, again, what's that stupid saying? Like, it's not stupid, but like, fortune favors the prepared. I can't remember what it is. Like preparation and luck.
Opportunity.
Thank you. I don't even know, but you know what I mean. But it's
like all that. We're flipping the script on it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and then it is remarkable how it feels like the circumstances just bend around the outcome that you were like setting it up for. It is a little bit weird how it all falls into place.
Yeah.
And if you can get to that place where you're just like, I got my ducks in a row.
Yeah. And it's like the biggest thing that I try to communicate is that it's so easy. The steps are so easy. I've taught them to children.
Yes.
Honest to God. Like it's like following a chocolate chip cookie recipe. You got the list of shit you need to buy, the dishes you need to get out, and then you follow the steps that someone else is telling you. Look at what they've done. You know, if you're considering working with me or somebody else, like what the hell have they done?
Yeah.
And follow the steps that made them successful. And how can you fail if you're following a recipe? I mean, I guess like the power can go out when you're cooking the cookies, but that's not in the recipe. Like you
yeah, I mean, you're right.
Factor.
The fear. It's the fear. It's the lack of action, right? It's the half in, half out.
Yeah.
That's probably the worst, right? Like if you're afraid and you never make a change, like I've always feared that scenario, but at least you're safe, I guess. But if you kind of like, I mean, you feel
a lot of people don't realize your job can fire you tomorrow. Your isn't even guaranteed.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. You're in the matrix. Matrix is a better way to say it, right? I mean, but you're content to not worry because you feel secure. I think the people who like want to take the risk and they take the step and like don't follow the recipe, and it goes sideways, I think that's obviously where all the fear is born out of.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, like please act, but also like, don't do dumb stuff.
Don't not listen to me.
Yeah, right. Like don't don't buy a deal that's not going to bring you money. I mean, right? Like make sure the assumptions you're making, and I mean, who knows? Like, I mean, I trust you, obviously, but if I had done this myself, I'd be like, let's wait and see how well I assumed my variables, right? But like, you got to do the research, you got to make some guesses. Like at the end of the day, it's like where preparation meets, like, you at some point you got to take a risk. It's not, it's not like an irresponsible risk.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I largely learned by doing. I
Yeah.
didn't have a me coaching me. I did it the hard way, honestly.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't
Talking
make
about that
any
on the podcast.
mistakes and you figured this all out like first
Mhm.
try.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, right.
I
Of
mean, but I had missteps along the way. Don't get me wrong. I
course.
bought in Florida and it was a total, I got
Yeah.
lucky with appreciation, got all my money out and then some, but you know, it wasn't the Smoky Mountain tourist, you know, they destroyed the place, but. Well, this has been great. I think this is gonna be an amazing journey for you. And I'm so excited that I'm in this, we're in the two front seats of this journey.
I know.
And so you wired your money for escrow?
I wired my money for escrow. I actually just got a note from Penny that she emailed me something I need to sign.
Okay.
But I've gotten everything else done. I'm kind of actually having this weird hiccup with my lender where they're trying to verify my employment, and the company that does the verification keeps telling them that I've been terminated. So I'm hoping that I'm actually technically still employed. So I'm working through some of these like weird little things, right?
What?
But yeah.
She already quit. She's already a millionaire. Sorry.
Yeah, right. It's the universe's way of saying like you're ready.
Okay, that's weird. You might want to jump on that.
Yeah, so working through some of that. And
yeah, so the lender got the contract. So they'll start underwriting, and then we've got a 10-day inspection. So we'll just, I haven't seen yet what day the inspection is going to take place, but once that takes place, you can fly out for it or not. I don't usually. We'll get a report and we'll go through the report. It's a condition of the home.
yeah.
If anything is bad, then we can address, you know, how you want to proceed.
Yeah. Okay.
Either you back out, you say, no, there's too much repairs, or we negotiate, or it's perfect and it's awesome and you're happy. It's just they're going to test all the systems in the cabin, make sure it's sound.
Well, in the spirit of staying passive, I probably will choose not to fly out there. I actually kind of like not having seen it at all, because I think that if I see it, I'll start to get emotional. And I know that for me, it's important to not get emotional, at least not at this point. Yeah. So, yeah, so I'm really excited. Just like, again, this is just a checklist. You just got to keep making sure that duck stays in line.
Wah, wah.
Oh, all right. Awesome. I'm so grateful to have had this time with you. And
yeah, you too. I love that, like, we're full in this now from the beginning in September, or even August when it was just a phone call. Like from there till now, like, holy shit.
It's been a wild ride.
Here we go.
Here we go. It's happening.